You guys might remember that flying potato gun we talked about?
Oh, I do.
Okay, so that is this function right here. We know things about this function. What form is this function in?
Standard.
Standard form. So, I want you to start. Only do number one. I want you to write the equation we would need to know when that tater hits the ground. Okay? So I'm seeing it on some boards, and I think some of us might be overshooting some stuff. But for one, the equation would be, what's the height when it hits the ground?
0.
0. It hits the ground at 0. So this would be our equation. Okay. So at this point, have we ever solved for 0 from standard form?
No.
Not unless it was like a standard form that's also vertex form, like an x squared plus 1 or something, right? So we have it. So what I want you to try to do is, you can't graph it. You can use any way you want to try and isolate the variable. Try to isolate the variable. Let's see what's up. Spoiler alert, you can't really isolate t.
We did it.
Let me see.
Kind of.
Let me see.
We technically got 2.
Yeah, but there's still a t on the other side.
Yeah, but we can't. It's not a like term because of the square.
Correct. It's not a like term. So, sorry for making you do all that work. But the point of that is to say, with our current skill set, you actually can't.
Ruh-roh.
So, if we need to get an answer of when it hits the ground with our current skill set, I like what Heidi, I like what Heidi has. Let's look at that actually. Heidi, what did you subtract 64 first? I like what Heidi did here. Okay. I'm not saying other people didn't do it, guys. I'm just saying I noticed Heidi did it. And then what you divide both sides by negative 16? That's cool. You can do that. And I'm going to tell you why I like this, Heidi. How many times? 4 equals t squared minus 5t. So this is still true. This is still the same equation, right? But you notice we still don't have like terms. We don't have like a t, just t equals junk. But with you only have one skill set that you could use to find 0 now. What's your skill set? What's the only thing you could do? Just get this now to equal 4. Guess and check. So what's cool about Heidi, you can guess and check here too. Which one's going to be easier to guess and check, do you think?
The starred one.
The starred one. It's the same equation. We proved it by doing the same thing on both sides. Your only skill that you have currently to correctly do this is guess and check. I'm going to give you 2 minutes. Let's see who can get closest. I had someone get to the nearest 1,000th last hour. You can get, let's go. Eyes up here, mouths closed. You guys might have gotten closer than me, but when I input 5.7 seconds, I got 3.99. Anybody get closer than 5.7? No. I think the closest I saw was 5.701. Now, realistically, just so you know, this could be an irrational number. The real answer is a decimal that goes on forever. It's like, 5.701, junk that goes forever, doesn't repeat and stuff, okay?
Alice got closer.
What'd you get, Alice? Whew. What did that pump out? 3.9996. That's pretty close.
It's almost closer.
Some people were trying to hit me with the negative answer. Now, this function might pump out a negative because this tater starts from 64 feet, right? So there is a negative x-intercept. Although in context, this ain't some time-traveling teleporting tater.
Can you grab it and see what the equation?
The negative? The negative doesn't matter, though, so we're not going to.
No, what the actual thing is.
It requires a square root. So, the big idea from that is, hey guys, what's up? The big idea is we can set it equal to numbers, right? In standard form, can we currently solve that? In factored form, if it was set equal to 0, we could. But in standard form, we can't. So I want you to do 2 things. I just want you to tell me, number 1. Whoops, I got a little click happy there. Number 1, tell me the prices where we made $0. This isn't new. You should be able to, this could have been on your last quiz. But then I don't want you to solve number 2. I want you to set up an equation that'll tell us when we make $500. We have done 0 revenue before. We have not done 500 before, but you're going to look to make the connection. No solution needed for number 2. Or I should say. Okay. So to find the $0 revenue, did you guys go with standard form or factored form?
Factored.
Factored form. And I'm going to set that up real quick. I know that my factored form equals 0. And I can get that to equal 0 by charging $0 and by charging how much?
500.
No? $40. Now, if you're not seeing that 40, all you need to do is this. You can set up this equation. Right? And solve for P. Kind of like you did in your warm-up. Everybody see where I got 0 and 40?
Yeah.
0 times that junk is 0. If I put 40 in there, I get 0. 0 times this is 0. So the only, number 2, we're not solving. We just need to say we want a total of $500. So where am I going to put that 500 at?
Is equal to?
It's equal to that. Right? Now, here is where we run out of skills currently.
Well, couldn't you just find the vertex and then line of symmetry it?
Kind of. But this is no longer set equal to 0. This is like we have this parabola, and it's these 2 points, kind of. Right? So we need a new skill set, which we're about to get a little bit. The whole point of this right here is to say we know that this is true. This equation equals 500 for the same reason it equals 0. But we don't have a skill set currently to isolate the variable. Where here, we did. If we get it equal to 0, because 0 times junk is 0. Yeah. You could guess and check. That would be our skill set. But guess and check is not satisfying, and it's not always efficient, and it's not always super accurate. No. Guess and check is my least favorite thing. So we're going to move on to the next lesson, lesson 3. And right here, we're going to get some skills to actually solve some of these. We're going to start building those skills to solve for things other than 0. All you need to answer here is how many answers are there. I want to start you off with the first one. How many ways can I get 9? What squared equals 9?
3. And negative 3.
And negative 3. Do not write negative 3 squared as this. This is the opposite of 3 squared, which is negative 9. Don't do that. This is how you write negative 3 squared.
Well, how is negative?
I'm laying down the answers here. So you can take a look. You should know from yesterday's warm-up on Khan Academy too. When we square root a number other than 0, we have 3 different options. Can you take the square root of a negative? No, because nothing times itself equals negative, unless you know imaginary numbers, which are a real thing, but imaginary. Okay? If you square root 0, how many answers are there? 1. And if you square root a positive answer, how many? 2. There's the positive thing squared and the negative thing squared. So we're using that. Here is where things get fun and cool. Notice. Oops. We're done. No. Notice. Are we set equal to 0 anymore? No. So far we have found the vertex. We found zeros, right? When y is 0. Now y is not 0. Right? There's the whole parabola. There's infinite answers on that parabola. We want to focus on a few spots. So I want you to watch how I go about solving one, like the modeling of it, and then you're going to go do the rest. This is going to turn it back into more traditional equation solving. I'm trying to undo things to isolate a variable. So if I'm looking at n squared plus 4, what do I need to get rid of first?
Minus 4.
I need to get rid of the positive 4 first. There is no minus 4 there. I need to get rid of the positive 4. How do I do that? Minus 4. Okay? And then I have n squared equals 400. How do I undo squaring something? Square root. You probably saw that last in your Pythagorean theorem unit last. And here's what's cool. There's 2 answers. 20 and negative 20.
Oh, negative 20 and 20 are both the square roots.
Yes, 20 squared is 400 and so is negative 20 squared. I want you to roll through the rest. Okay, number 2. The first thing we need to do is divide both sides by 3. And I'm left with n squared equals 144. How do I undo square? Square root. So n is both 12 and negative 12. All right, so there's 2 ways to go about problem number 3. I'm going to show you the more traditional way, and then I'm going to go through you just think about a way. Would I need to get rid of the 1 or the square first if I'm trying to isolate n?
Square.
The square. So I'm going to square root this whole side. Watch this. Bye-bye. What that means is n plus 1 equals 12, and n plus 1 also equals negative 12. Okay? So, n equals both 11 and negative 13. The other way you can think about this is, the other way you can think about it is, I know I need in here to equal 12. If in there needs to equal 12 or negative 12, n can both be 11 or negative 13. You might have went a little less traditional route. I'm going to show the more traditional route. I'm going to add 30 to both sides first. Now, you have to use the reverse order of operations. Instead of gems, smeg. Okay? Because we're undoing things, right? Next up, I'm going to take the square root. And that means n minus 5 can equal both 10 and negative 10.
Oh, I got 15 and
So my two answers are 15
and
negative 5.
Wait. Oh yeah, because minus 5. Yes.
That's where, so it's kind of like, what's happening here kind of is like, it's reestablishing the zeros. The math we're doing is kind of, but these aren't zeros anymore. 15 and negative 5 give us an output of what now?
100.
No? 70. What form is this? This is fun. I didn't do this last hour. Neither of those. Vertex. Kind of vertex one, but
I got it right.
cool. All right, let's cool it down with some lesson summaries, yo.